had to not came up with, but I had this realization of like, I am the expert on my baby.
I love that. Welcome to Rumina's Story Hour, the positive breastfeeding podcast. Rumina is the Roman goddess of breastfeeding. These are her stories.
I wish she were sponsored. I could be like, I'm taking my legendary milk right now.
Well, maybe we just need to give a shout out to Legendary Milk
Maybe,
and
yeah.
be like, hey,
And then you can send it to them.
I can send it to them. And be like, okay, how about that?
How about that?
Welcome to the first story in the living history that we are beginning here. Rumina's Story Hour, the positive breastfeeding podcast. I'm your host, Carrie York, and I have my first ever bosom buddy on the podcast, Lorrie, here today.
Hello. I'm
Welcome.
gonna hold on before we talk. I'm gonna pop my legendary milk, my cash cow.
A cash cow. Okay, You do that.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a sponsored podcast,
But we would like it to be.
well, we might be open to that.
We might be open to that.
Yeah, we'll consider it. But
I have no financial stake in this podcast whatsoever.
Yep. So, welcome to the first ever recorded story. I'm so happy you're here.
I'm so happy
Or
to be
actually, I'm here. I'm at your house.
Yeah, I'm like super honored to be your first guest. This is huge because we met 7 months ago.
Yep.
My daughter's almost 7 months old.
Yep.
Okay, so we didn't meet quite 7 months ago, but I frantically texted you from the NICU when she was 7 days old.
That's right.
She had some complications in utero that we didn't know about until they removed her from my body via C-section.
Mm-hmm.
She had an issue with her cord and her placenta, so she was born very small.
In IUGR. Yes.
Intrauterine growth restriction. Right.
Yes.
And she wasn't getting, some of her umbilical cord had grown into my placenta, into the amniotic sac.
Mm-hmm.
So she wasn't getting all of the nutrition that she needed.
Mm-hmm.
So as a result, she was born at 4 pounds, 16 ounces, 17 ounces, something like that, and had no fat on her body. So when she
did not.
Yeah, you can attest. So even though she was very tall for her gestational age, she was born 3 weeks early. At 7 days old, she had a body temperature of 95 degrees. So she was considered hypothermic.
Chilly.
Yeah.
More than chilly.
Yeah. A little chilly. And we were sent to the ER at Children's Hospital of Richmond. Shout out to them because they are amazing. And in Richmond, we're really lucky to have that facility for children. It's wonderful. The people there are wonderful.
Oh, and I'll mention, since you did, we're recording from Virginia.
Richmond, yes.
In the United States. Yep.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So they put Brooke, my daughter, into the NICU and held her for about 48 hours. So I was in there with her, and we had some lactation help consultation in the hospital, and I felt pretty good about it. But because she was so small, she wasn't really getting what she needed from the breast entirely. So we were also on bottles.
And so did they start supplementing her before you went home from the hospital with her, before the NICU admission?
Her pediatrician had told us to put formula powder into her bottles because I wasn't producing a ton of milk at that point because she was a C-section and she was early.
Yeah.
I was very lucky that I started to produce colostrum around 35 weeks pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't collecting it yet, but my body kind of gave us a head start. So I feel like we were lucky in that regard.
Okay.
So I frantically texted Carrie because I think late into our first night in the NICU, Brooke sort of stopped nursing, where she had been doing pretty well on her own. And I loved nursing. It was like this magical thing I didn't expect to like. It always freaked me out. In fact, pregnancy freaked me out in general until I became pregnant. Thanks to science, thanks to fertility science. And I loved it. And I loved nursing my baby. I had worked so hard to get her, to grow her, to birth her, to bring her into this world. And when she suddenly stopped nursing in the NICU, I was like, is it because she's getting bottles here more frequently? I didn't know what it was. And my best friend, Irina, has a daughter 7 months older than Brooke, to the day, actually, which is kind of amazing. And she had worked with you, um,
Mhm.
and had so many wonderful things to say. And I thought, well, I had already gotten help in the hospital. Like, what more could I possibly need? And the mental strife of being in the NICU, I thought, I can't lose this thing that I love doing with my daughter.
Mhm.
I need help.
Mhm.
I don't care what it costs. I mean, I did, but
Yeah.
I found out that in my insurance, thankfully, I'm very fortunate that my insurance covered lactation consultant. Um, and you came over. I think I don't know if it was the day after we got home, 3 days later, or a few days after that, but it
I
was
remember it was quick.
it
I
was
remember thinking, I need to be there the day she gets home.
yeah.
Yeah.
We're so grateful.
It worked out.
Yeah. And not that anyone can see this because we're recording, but we're sitting on the couch that I spent so many
Yeah.
days of my life on. My husband said the other day, he said, "I don't think you got off that couch for 2 months."
Yeah.
And I think he was right. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's what you're supposed to do when you have a baby.
Mm.
Just
Yeah,
nest.
that's what I was doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just remember those first few visits, because the other benefit of uh, having a lactation consultant is some of them will come to your home and teach you in your own environment and show you how to help your body help your baby. And
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing. I wish everyone
Everyone
could do this,
should have
should
that,
do this. Yeah.
should have that option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And fortunately, like in Richmond, I don't know about other hospitals. The hospital we gave birth at, they had that option for mothers to come back and do like group lactation consultant work.
Right.
And I just remember thinking, I don't want to do this with other people around. Like I
Okay.
don't. And I think that that's great for other people. I
Yeah. Like
am
support groups have their place.
support groups are wonderful. I'm not knocking on them at all.
But you had a pretty special situation.
Yeah. I had a tiny baby. She was 4 pounds, 6 ounces by the
She
time we
was
got home.
so tiny.
She was very small.
She was precious. She was so unbelievably adorable,
It's
but not
funny.
where we needed her to be, right?
Right. We
Yeah.
look back at pictures now, she looks like a little alien, kind of.
You
She's all eyeballs and lips.
yeah. They look like they have like their head is larger and their little bodies are trying to catch up.
Yeah, but even her head wasn't that big.
No, it wasn't. She was beautiful. She is still beautiful and precious. She was beautiful and precious. So you said before we started recording, like I could prompt you to remember certain
Yes.
things. And I
And
can
I'm
tell
gonna
you
need that.
what I remember from those first
Yeah.
visits meeting
Tell me.
you was where I see a lot of moms go through what I call like your darkest hour,
Mm,
right? And it kind of can happen. It's motherhood. Okay. We go through a lot of darkest hours, right?
yes.
But it's kind of your first darkest hour as a mom, right? And I
Yes.
saw you in it. And what I heard you saying at different points, I watched your goals shift a lot
Yeah.
because based on what was happening. And I remember our goal just being it's okay to just deal with the reality of your situation today with this baby,
Mhm.
right? And because it wasn't your hope. What was
Right.
happening was nowhere nearer to what you thought this was going to be.
Well, I mean, and just backing it up a week before that, like, Brooke basically said, "Fuck your birth plan."
Yeah.
She said, "I'm gonna do whatever what I
Yeah.
wanna do, and I'm gonna, like, throw everything out the window, nothing." And I always knew that that was a possibility. I just didn't know how extreme it could get.
Yeah. And then not only that, your breastfeeding plan.
Right.
Like, and then it was like you had to, and I remember us talking about, you really didn't want to have to supplement her.
I didn't wanna
You
give
didn't
her any
want
cow's milk at all.
you
That
didn't
was my big thing. I don't consume dairy. I don't want my child to consume dairy. I remember crying giving her that first bottle with formula in it.
Yes.
For me, I had an idea of what I wanted it to be, and I had to accept that she needed those extra calories because she was
Yes.
so tiny, and
Yes.
it was a difficult
It
thing
was
to accept.
difficult for you.
It was.
And I walked the line of like, look, I want every mom to be successful breastfeeding and and even, I mean, if I'm honest, it's exclusive breastfeeding,
Yeah,
right? If
yeah,
possible,
yeah,
for moms that want that. Um, but it's about removing the barriers, but also dealing the reality of like what we're dealt,
right.
right? And like, so it's a completely different thing for a full term infant that has absolutely no issues whatsoever, that's born healthy, that's born vaginally, that's born that comes out ready to nurse, that can latch easily. Okay, like, right? But that's not anywhere near like
Yeah.
what our situation was, right?
Well, yeah, and we were being told, me, my husband, and Brooke, not to let her nurse longer than 30 minutes, I think it was, because then she would start burning more calories than she was taking in.
So premature and low birth weight infants
Yeah.
at a certain
That was a
point just
wild thing to
don't
me.
have stamina. They
Mhm.
don't. Even if they want to keep going, if you're holding the babe at breast and the babe is still going and using up all that
Which
energy.
she was doing.
And NICU babies are like they use up all their energy trying to nurse. We call them the great pretender, like that old song. Like
Yeah.
they look like they're doing well, but they might not be transferring as well because they
Mm,
don't have the buccal fat in their cheeks and they don't
mm,
have the ability to hold on.
mm.
Yeah, so this was kind of Brooke's picture. She looked
Yeah.
like she was doing well when she was willing to do it.
Yes.
And so then I remember framing this like helping you accept the supplement. And it sounds like it doesn't mean you didn't want to feed your baby. You did. You were just like, this reality is different than what I thought it would be.
Yeah,
It's not like
and
you were against feeding her.
of
That's not
course
it.
not. No.
But when I explained to you, I remember it helped. It seemed to help. We're just going to pack some pounds on this kid,
Yeah.
and she's going to then have the energy to nurse, and she's
Right.
going to then do better, right?
Right.
Like we just need to get her up,
Right.
get her catch up.
Right.
Yeah.
And it took a while. It took a long time, and she's still, I mean, I think she's 35th percentile or something in
Oh yeah,
birth weight. She's still small.
smaller, but she's
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Yeah, she's got
But
rolls.
she was like what, negative fifth? What was she?
She wasn't even
She wasn't even on
on the
the
scale.
scale. Yeah.
She was less than 1.
Yeah.
Which was like, I mean, and it's funny because I have friends who are like, "My baby's in the 98th percentile." And I'm like, "My
What?
baby's not even on the scale."
Yeah.
Which just goes to show that, like, comparison is the thief of joy, right? And, like, every baby is so different, just like every pregnancy is different. It's
Comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah,
Yeah. It really is.
it is,
That's an important message to pass along.
especially when it comes to
You
motherhood.
gotta compare your own child to your own child,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
You gotta look at what your baby, and there's no competition here for who has the best baby.
There is no best baby, there are
There's no best baby, there's no best mom, there's
Your
no
baby
Academy
is the best
Award.
baby.
Your baby is the best baby, and you are the best mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that kid so much.
I know she's such a good
She's a good baby.
she's such a good baby.
All babies
So,
are good
and
babies.
what also was like that you were like, I remember it's so much to pump.
Mhm.
Okay,
Oh,
that was such a huge part of your journey.
you
Triple
had me on
feeding,
the triple feeding, and I literally wanted
you were
to
breaking.
I didn't think I was gonna survive. You
Mhm.
came you were like, "Okay, 48 hours of triple feeding," which for anyone listening who doesn't know what that is, why don't you tell them?
Okay, triple feeding is where you put the baby to breast for a time. Then you give the baby bottle of whatever you're giving.
For us,
Uh,
it was an ounce and a half, which is crazy to think about.
I know. And then you pump. And we
Mhm.
try to do that whole process within a 30, 40-minute window so that you get rest in between. And I hear of moms that are triple feeding forever or like months or crazy amounts of time. Like, that's insane. That's like, well, I don't mean they're insane. I mean, that's just so hard,
That is
right?
so
That
difficult.
is so in the way I practice, I don't want moms doing that more than like 48
You
hours.
had
Like,
me
the
doing
point is
48
to
hours.
hit that, like we're gonna rocket ship, we're gonna hit the gas, we're gonna try to blast up to the next level and then maintain that next level without like we're not trying to do that forever.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah. There's
so
no way I would have been able to do it more than that. I
no,
mean,
no.
by
But
the
even the
45th hour, I was, like, unraveling.
yeah, you were. And then what did I say? Go to sleep and then go to sleep until you wake up on naturally, right?
Mhm.
Something like
Well,
that.
for the triple
I don't
feeding, it
remember.
was every 3 hours for us. So we were doing that every 3 hours, but our because Brooke was tiny and apparently is like a high sleep needs baby sometimes, a lot of
Mm,
the time,
yeah.
we couldn't wake her up. I couldn't wake her up to
Even every
feed.
3, it was really
Every
hard.
3 hours, there just wasn't she
No
was like,
stamina.
"No." Oh,
Low birth
stamina, right.
low birth weight baby.
Yeah,
No stamina. Nothing
yeah,
like what you see these images or these ideas of what a typical baby does. And
yeah,
then it's like really hard because the
yeah,
comparison.
yeah,
It's like, well, why isn't and it's like, well, you'll get there, but it was going to take I think I remember framing it for you like, no, we're going to be at this is going to be a month or 2
yeah.
before she's able to just exclusively breastfeed,
I
right?
remember asking you when you thought she'd be able to wear newborn-sized clothes, and you just laughed at me.
Oh, no.
And it wasn't a malicious laugh, it was, "Oh, sweetie," like, "Oh, Lorrie."
Yeah,
You were right, you were like, "It's gonna be a month or 2," and you were pretty spot on. I think it was not she was, like, 2 months old. She was finally able to fit in newborn
finally fit
clothes.
in newborn clothes. I remember one day coming and you were like, I honestly think I'm going to be switching. I honestly think I'm going to give up. I honestly, and is that okay? And I'm like, of course, it's okay. Of course it's okay. And there was something like, it seemed like a point of like surrender for you that you were just like in such a like sad, just depressed about
I'm
it.
not a
But sudden,
surrender kinda person.
but right, but it wasn't a bad surrender. On and I thought, okay, all right, then we're just gonna maybe you're like, I don't even know how long I'm gonna keep the pumping up. I'm
Right.
gonna like I can't do this anymore. And your mental health was really suffering.
Yeah.
And and it was like I wanted you to know, and every mom to know, like you have to deal like your particular set of circumstances was so like you can't give yourself like these high standards to try to meet when right. I always see moms like blaming themselves or being down on themselves or being right if they're like but like literally your baby is was in the NICU, your baby was literally 4 pounds,
Yeah.
like it's okay. and and then I came back the next visit and you were like going for it. You were like and I thought you were done because you
Yeah.
were not done.
No,
It was
I'm not.
almost like you needed to like get to the point where you're like, "I'm done. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
done.
Yeah.
Is it okay that I'm done?" And it wasn't me needing to tell you you were done.
Yeah.
And then it was like as soon as you hit that spot, everything changed, I feel like.
Yeah.
And then you didn't give up.
No. And then my milk came in Like, once it came in, it was like, "Hey, I'm here. Like, I'm here to feed your kid."
So you
Finally,
think
my body stepped up,
you're
and
yeah.
I think, like, for me, that surrender that you're talking about as you're I'm listening to you as you're talking, and I'm thinking about our fertility journey and how, we spent 4 years trying to get this little person to come to the world, and, um, there was a point where I was ready to give up on that, and then same thing, like, then it worked. It's, like,
Mhm.
so rare. I'm like, "Okay," I'm starting to, like, join support groups for, childless not by choice and things like that, and, like,
Yeah.
um, with the breastfeeding, it was like it's like learning how to drive a stick shift car, like, things just click into place. Suddenly, you get it, and whether that means you've decided and you give yourself permission to stop, or something clicks, which in my case it did, that you want to keep going. Um, and I think there was suddenly Brooke and I discovered a rhythm of finding a happy medium between giving her a bottle so that she was satisfied and her nursing so that we were both comforted. Because where we are now, I love nursing my baby. She does
Mhm.
not want to nurse to eat. She wants to nurse to be with mom, and
Uh-huh.
I want to nurse to be with my baby. And so we nurse for comfort pretty much.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
we nurse when she wakes up for her night feeding while the bottle's warming up. And like
Mhm.
that's our time together. And
Mhm.
sometimes we fall asleep and it's lovely.
Yeah.
And but I love doing that, and I'm probably gonna nurse her when she wakes up from her nap because I just want to. It's not I wish that we had gotten to the point where she got everything she needed from nursing, but that wasn't our journey in the way that it's other women's journey with their children, and I'm okay with that. I'm a little sad about it, but I'm also still always gonna be sad that I had to have a C-section and didn't get to have a natural birth on all fours with no drugs.
Right.
Or and I'm always gonna be sad that I didn't naturally conceive my child. But I'm always going to be way more happy than I am sad because I got to conceive a child. I'm always going to be
Yep.
much happier than I am sad because I got to give birth to my child, even though it wasn't in the way that I wanted. And I will
Mhm.
always be so happy that I have been able to give my baby breast milk, even though it's through a bottle
Mhm.
most of the time
Mhm.
and not through directly breast.
Right.
And so, one of my s- weaknesses, I would say, is that I'm a terrible pessimist. Um,
Okay.
so I'm quite the unique guest to have on
I know, right? On the
positive,
Optimist
your
podcast,
optimist
right?
podcast.
Mhm.
Um, but when it comes to motherhood, I find myself reframing a lot, which is something a friend has been helping me work on for many years. She's an optimist,
Uh-huh.
and I'm not. And she's
Okay.
always like, "Can you maybe just reframe things?" And I'm always like, "Stick your reframe up your ass." Like, I don't want to, whatever.
Right.
But with motherhood, I have started to reframe in a very positive way. And I will never consider myself an optimist, but
Well, never say never.
it's true. Never say never.
That's my optimist response.
Yeah. Um, but I will always be grateful for my child and the journey that we've been on, and there's so much more that we have. I mean, crap, the rest
You
of my
haven't even
life.
started.
We haven't even started.
Yeah.
This is coming from you. Your children are
My children are adults now.
adults.
And like, yeah, you haven't even started. Yeah.
Well, this is as
Well,
far as I've
but
ever
this is
gotten.
just this to be fair, yeah, it's almost like you did 5 years of mothering in 6 months. Because,
Feels like it.
like, to be honest, like, and I think that's true to every child's life, a little rain must fall,
Mhm.
right? So, like, every parent is going to face something with their child, but it's really unfair and really hard. when you get that right out of the gate.
Yeah.
That's just, that's a bummer.
But here's something, you just made me think of something. I have another friend who, in the midst of
Uh-oh,
baby's awake,
somebody's waking up.
I'll just say this quickly. I have a friend who, in the midst of I think I was in my second year of infertility, she like went off birth control and got pregnant like right away. Had a great pregnancy, had a very healthy baby. And then before I got pregnant with Brooke, she got pregnant with her second baby. And her second baby is older than my first, my only. And I just thought, this is so unfair. This is so unfair. And then I would like reflect on the hardships that she's faced in her own life that have nothing to do with pregnancy, but that she has faced trauma and death and heartbreak and all these other things that
Mhm.
I haven't had to experience. And so what you just said was very poignant. Like maybe in my journey from the outset was really rough, but um, I think it's not just parenthood where but everybody encounters that really rough stuff.
Yes.
But when you're in the thick of it, it's so hard to see that you see, so say you're a mom who's really struggling with breastfeeding and you see your friend who is really successful at it. It probably is so easy to look at that and say, why didn't I have that? Or
Yes.
uh, in some cases, someone's having a really rough pregnancy where their friend is having like
Yes.
the majestic pregnancy and say
Yes.
like, why can't I have that? Or in my case, struggling to conceive, whereas other people just look at each other and get pregnant. Like, what? That's so unfair.
Yes. Which is brings up a point in like this podcast.
Yeah.
Do you need to go get the baby?
No, she's
She's-
rolling.
Okay. I was so afraid of starting this.
Yeah.
And I talked about it in the first episode, but because I don't by having a positive, like we're going to tell our positive stories in the way that things worked out.
Yeah.
These are success stories, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not out to like rub anybody's nose in. Like it's the thing you're exactly talking about.
Hmm.
They're like, well, so if it hurts to listen to somebody's good outcome, please don't listen.
Right.
Please turn this off.
Right.
But if it's inspiring and it's helpful, this is I want this to be I was like the raft in the ocean, like you're like, oh, and then like, no, here we're the rescue boat. Come
Yeah.
get on board with us. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. Even
You
if
could
it's
be,
not okay, we're gonna help you reframe it
yeah.
and help you feel better about it.
Yeah. And I think hearing other people's positive stories, there are those different kinds of people. And going through my fertility journey, it was like sometimes I would hear positive stories and I would feel positive or negative about it. Some days I didn't want to hear those positive stories. So you don't listen to them. Why are you hurting yourself?
Yeah.
It's like stop running into the wall. It hurts.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go grab the
Go get the
baby.
baby. She wants to be on the
Want to be
podcast.
on the podcast?
Well, this is good. Now you're joining the podcast with us, sweetheart.
Yes, you are.
Yeah. So let's look at her now. Look at the rolls
The
of
rolls.
fat on that baby.
Thank God.
Oh my goodness.
And these cheeks.
And the cheeks so plump and chunky.
It's the best.
And so she still gets some breast milk, yes?
She hasn't been supplemented with formula since, I mean, she was a few weeks old. Because at one point, the doctor told me to keep doing it, and I said no. I was like, no, she's getting enough.
Oh.
So she's been all breast for 6 months, all breast milk for 6 months, and we just recently introduced some solids. So
Salads. Do you like your salads?
she likes peas. She loves potatoes.
Yes.
What did we give you? We gave her avocado the other day. She liked that.
Yeah.
You,
And so this baby
this baby.
that was born at 4 pounds.
Yes. We
I'm
weighed
just
her.
thinking about moms listening that maybe their baby was also born small. you won't believe how big and chunky your baby will be at 6 months old, right?
So true.
Yeah.
So true.
I'm just like thinking like back to if we were going to like bring this out of your, was there a turning point for you? Was there a point at which, like you mentioned, the surrender and then becoming and reframing and
Yeah.
being positive and, but like, was there a point at which you can remember really being happy? Like when the happiness came, was it getting some help?
Yeah, I mean, I remember we had you and I had 1 session left. I think my insurance gave us 6 sessions, and we were either at the end of our 5th or during our 6th or something, and I just was, like, sobbing,
Yeah, I remember
and I
that.
was like, I'm not ready to say goodbye.
I remember
I
that.
need you," and you were like, "I know you need me. I'm not going anywhere."
I'm not leaving you. No.
And you didn't. And, of course, we wound up becoming very good friends and
Yes.
helping each other in different ways, and I love that for us. Like, that's,
Yeah. Yeah. Now
um
we're friends.
now we're friends.
Yeah.
I don't know, I feel like it was probably sometime after that, like, maybe whatever meeting we had after that, like, that one extra meeting that we had together.
It wasn't a fast, like, oh, now I'm happy. It was more of a slow, like,
Yeah.
evolving, right?
Yeah.
Of you coming into like out of the trauma of what you went through and
Yeah.
into some joy.
Yeah, and
Because you're joyful. You're
yeah.
so joyful now.
Yes.
And you've been joyful for a long time. Like
Yes.
it really was, it was a dark month or two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we worked so hard to get her, and
Yeah.
then seeing her hooked up to tubes and,
Yeah, that's so hard.
so tiny, and I mean, to have had I was the person who had the beautiful, joyful pregnancy, who felt great 99% of the time. I loved being pregnant with her, like, I
Well, also you worked so hard to get pregnant with her.
yeah, and
Yeah.
then to have a lovely pregnancy was just like a bonus, and so then the birth didn't go the way it wanted to,
Yeah.
the breastfeeding wasn't going the way I wanted it to. Here's something that people need to know.
Okay.
It is not innate breastfeeding. And I remember our very first meeting together because I remember I have had so many friends who have had unsuccessful, quote unquote, unsuccessful. It's probably too negative of a word to use, but breastfeeding journeys. People who really struggled with it or who were only able to do it a few months and then for whatever reason stopped. And as long as it was their choice, that's great. Um, but I don't have a lot of people in my life who had an easy time breastfeeding. You just made me lose my train of thought.
Innate.
Innate,
It
sorry.
wasn't innate for you.
So I remember before Brooke arrived, telling my husband, "Hey, Irina has this lactation consultant. Her name's Carrie. Sorry, I just name checked you, Irina. Hope you don't mind. Um, uh, we should definitely call her." And my husband saying, "It's just, isn't it just something that you know how to do?"
Right.
And me going, I used to feel that way, but I've seen so many friends struggle with it and heard of so many people, only making it like 4 months or whatever, or not having an easy time at it. And the thing is, I remember you sitting on this couch and telling me like a lot of those things that had been passed down from midwife to mother, from midwife to mother, mother
Yep.
to mother had been lost
Yes.
in the 60s or the 70s or something like that.
In the 20th century, yes.
Yeah.
The formula, the rise of major,
Mhm.
right,
But what
right.
that tells me is that it's not innate. Women have always needed other women to help them breastfeed, to learn the mechanics of it, because there is nothing innate about it. You can't force a baby to latch. You can't, there was so many like I just remember
Everyone doesn't have an innate experience,
right.
but there are some times that people do, but
When
those
like on their
seem to
6th birth. I'm just kidding.
sometimes, no, but it's a fair question. Sometimes people do when um when you're giving birth in the woods on all fours,
Right.
and to a full-term infant with no complications, and everything goes like this magical
Yeah.
way, and then you lay the baby on and they do a breast crawl, and the baby magically crawls to breast, and you have the perfect anatomy, and everything just goes like that. Okay.
So you're
So like
saying
that does exist, but it is not necessarily everyone's experience. And it
I
is
would say it's not
okay.
most people's
It's
experience.
not, as a person who works with women all the time, it's more than you think.
Okay, well, that's
But
good
that,
to know.
but so it's more than you think, but it's not everybody. They wouldn't have lactation consultants if it was.
Right,
Right? If it was perfectly innate and worked perfectly every single time, I would be doing something else with my life.
right.
Um, but it's not like a judge. It shouldn't be a judgment thing, right? Like the competition and the
Oh my gosh.
oh, you had this perfect innate experience and I didn't, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna get real animal talking now.
Please
Is
do.
that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So we here in Richmond, there's a story about the orangutan out of the zoo. Okay. Now I could tell this story wrong because I haven't reviewed the story perfectly, but it goes like this. There's an orangutan at our Richmond Zoo, and her first baby, she did not know, she wasn't around the other orangutan moms watching them breastfeed.
Yeah.
And she could not latch her first baby. And they had to take the baby and bottle feed it. Um, so they brought in, and I remember being like, they should have called me. I could have gotten that baby to latch. So she had another baby, and in preparation, they brought in, I don't know if it's zoo employees or women from the public that were breastfeeding, and they had them come in and breastfeed in front of her while she was
Their
pregnant.
own babies?
Had them breastfeed their human babies in front of her
Wow.
and she successfully breastfed the
Amazing.
second time after watching other women do it.
That's amazing.
Isn't that the most beautiful story?
That is
So there's some situation, but that's not completely innate and in the wild either. She's an animal in captivity
yeah.
that did not grow up naturally watching. I think of us that way. We're animals in captivity of our modern brains and culture. And like, we're not growing up naturally, and we're not growing up in this culture naturally watching our sisters and mothers and cousins
Right.
nurse. So it's not innate for us. And I can't prove that with the data.
Uh,
Like, probably there's studies, but this is just what I think about it, you know? So like, it's
But that's so
okay that it's not innate. We have all these barriers.
yeah, when I'm the last of my friends to have, I feel like not the last, but I'm sure that there are other friends of mine who might have babies one day if they choose to, but I've learned so much from them, but it's not like I was sitting around watching them nurse. And I think when you're in a village and you a literal village and you have all of these women around you and you have a strong feminine culture and close-knit community, then that's then you have that. You
Yeah.
have those examples. But we are so isolated. Um, Speaking from the queen who loves to be isolated, that's me. I love being isolated.
Uh-huh. You're kind of
But you make such a really fascinating point. You don't necessarily have all of those. You don't have the village midwife anymore.
the other thing too is you had a 4-pound baby, so you couldn't, like we were talking on the innate thing.
Yeah.
Like she just wasn't like you knew like this just
She
wasn't the situation.
she needed 3 more weeks in the oven,
Yeah.
even though she was technically full
3
term.
more weeks
She
in the
was
oven and a fully functioning umbilical
umbilical cord,
cord.
yeah. That would
Yeah.
have been great. You would have loved that.
But in the long and short of it, and like, yeah, we get really, really attached. It's really important to us
Yeah,
how our infants are fed, how they're whether they're breastfed or bottle, right? Like what we want, and then like as they grow up, like people go, well, you get older, your babies get older, and you kind of are like, well, how important was that anyway?
right.
But it feels really important in the moment.
Well, yeah, and I think because it's kind of like what Jonathan thought, well, isn't it just something that you know how to do? And
Yeah.
so maybe for a new mom who has that mindset of, well, the baby's just going to come out and we're just going to know what to do. You just put the baby to the breast, right? Isn't
Right.
that it? And then they just go to town.
Right.
Absolutely not.
That was not your experience by a long shot.
I do remember our second night in the hospital, not the NICU, but after she was born, we were just in recovery. Um, we kept trying to get Brooke to latch, trying to get her to latch, and I was producing some colostrum, and the I was just exhausted and in the bed, and my husband had gone to lay down, and I was like, "Okay, we're gonna try this one more time," and I was just like cuddling her, and she just turned her head and latched on
Oh,
her own, and I was like, and I didn't do anything.
yeah.
That
Innate.
was innate.
It's innate for
It's
the
innate.
baby. I would say it's more innate for them,
Yeah.
or feels more innate for them
But
than
this was also 2 days after she was born, and she
yeah.
had so much intervention from so many nurses and lactation consultants and,
Yeah.
like,
And then we all stopped like touching her and picking
yeah,
on her, and she just did it.
she just did it on her own, which
Yeah.
is tends to be how she is with everything.
She says, I just give my moment and I do it.
She
I
says,
just
"Look,
wait for everybody to get out of my way.
yeah, right now we're dealing with the fact that she's not rolling over, and her doctor is acting like she's got some horrific, like, developmental delay." It's like, she doesn't. She just doesn't want to, and I think that that's the way I just need to remind myself of that with this baby in particular. Like, this little person, like, she's stubborn. When she wants to do it, she'll do it, and we keep helping her. We give her all the interventions and all the things, and we give her all the tools and all the opportunities, and ultimately
We were talking, I think too, we were talking about comparing your child to your child and not
mhm,
other, right?
yeah,
And like, pretty much human beings for the most part are going to hit those milestones on their own, right? Like
yeah,
every child is going to hit the milestone when it's their turn to hit that milestone.
yeah, it's true.
And it's okay to not, yeah, again, back to that whole like, don't come, what did you call it earlier?
Comparison is the
Comparison
thief of joy.
is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and I think about that a lot when I read uh, I'm in a bunch of stupid Facebook groups. I probably shouldn't use the word stupid because I think some people find them very helpful. I don't.
Okay.
Um, and people tend to ask a lot of questions of the hive mind that they should maybe be asking their doctors. And this is especially true amongst like the IVF groups and endometriosis groups, which is another thing that I dealt with. Um, and I just want to comment on things. Why are you asking this? Like, ask your doctor,
Uh-huh.
or like ask a medical professional. But
Right.
I do also understand like to wanting to just get the answer that you want to get, or gather as much information as you can. I don't know what a lot of these people's motivations are. I can't pretend to know, but I get really annoyed. And I found myself like, I really don't look at any of those things anymore. And I don't look at any of those things when it comes to a baby because every baby is different. And for some reason that clicked for me, whereas like a lot of the infertility stuff didn't. Or maybe it was because I went through that I decided I didn't need anyone else's input on my baby. But I had to not came up with, but I had this realization of like, I am the expert on my baby.
I love that.
I know her better than anybody. I am the expert on my baby. I know her patterns. I know what her cries mean. I'm always figuring things out. I'm not like a baby psychic. I'm not a baby
Uh,
whisperer,
uh-huh.
and I would never try to treat someone else's baby, but like I know a certain sound means she's hungry. I
Yeah.
know a certain sound means she wants her diaper
You
changed.
know when she's okay and when she's not okay.
Exactly.
I think what you just pointed out, like, just is like the perfect summation.
Oh my
You're the
baby.
expert on your baby. And like,
Yeah.
If you don't feel that way, if hope, I mean, you're always going to be insecure.
Of course. Oh my gosh. Like
But
just this morning I was freaking out about the mental load of her most recent development, like and how I'm gonna handle that and teach her grandmas and her babysitter how to deal with all of that. And I actually had a very real moment of that just a few weeks ago, the Friday before Christmas. A very well-meaning mother suggested that I give her oatmeal before bed to help keep her stomach full.
oh,
And that's why I was like, well, I tried it a month ago. It made her sick, but I'll try it again. Maybe it was just that her digestive system was not
uh-huh,
developed.
uh-huh.
No, my baby is pretty allergic to oatmeal, and she was very sick. And I don't think that this mother had any ill intentions at all. She was trying to help me.
No, of course not.
But my gut was, I don't want to do that. That doesn't feel right to me. That doesn't feel right to me. And instead of listening to my gut, I let a well-meaning voice
Yeah,
convince me otherwise. But it just goes back to that, like, you have to learn to trust your gut, and this is not something that is innate for a lot of people. A lot of people are
yeah,
full of self-doubt, and I think especially when it comes to motherhood, because there is so much noise out there,
yeah,
and you have to learn how to sort through it. It's so hard.
yeah,
I'm still figuring it out. Obviously, this was just 2 weeks ago this happened.
yeah,
Just learning, knowing your baby and making those judgment calls of this is right for us versus not. If
yeah,
your baby's not landing in the hospital, you're probably okay.
yeah.
And if your baby
And if
does
your
land in
baby
the
sends to the
hospital,
hospital, it's not your fault.
it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Oh God, am I ever gonna get over that one? My baby being in the NICU, like, I still blame myself for that. Like, I didn't dress her warm enough. I didn't know. I didn't know. She had no fat on her body. Everybody kept saying, even when we left the
Even
hospital.
if she had been dressed in multiple layers, she still possibly would have gotten cold because of her birth weight. So
Yeah.
you can't even don't take that one. You don't even
I'm trying to kick that one out, but
pick one that
it
please kick
keeps
that one out.
walking back in. It just keeps walking back in uninvited.
Yeah, let's put a big old padlock on the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one doesn't belong there.
Yeah. I feel like I'm like, when am I
You
gonna
did
get over
not
that
do
one?
that. There are so many good points to this whole story. I mean, like, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, trust your gut.
Yeah.
Um,
You know your baby.
you know your baby.
Things will go wrong.
Things will go
It
wrong,
is not your
but
fault.
it's not your fault. It's okay. Comparison is the thief of joy.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want that.
Yep.
Hang in there. It can get better. Hire an IBCLC
Yes.
lactation consultant. Ask your
Yes.
insurance company if they'll cover for home visits.
And if they don't, start a GoFundMe.
Find a way to pay for it anyway, if possible. I think it's a great start to this storytelling journey that I'm starting here on.
I love that you're
Like,
going to be sharing women's stories. I can't wait to hear
and
other women's
like, we
stories.
talked about so much more than breastfeeding, didn't we?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we we didn't we?
Yeah, because it's all tied together.
Breastfeeding is just part of the beginning of your motherhood journey.
Well, I am so thrilled that we did this.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being on the podcast, and thank you for listening. Rumina's Story Hour, the Positive Breastfeeding Podcast, is a production of Lactation Arts LLC. Copyright 2025, Carrie York, all rights reserved. Rumina's Story Hour, Carrie York, RN, IBCLC, and Lactation Arts LLC, in hosting this podcast, inform you that this is for informational and entertainment purposes only and is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. I am a nurse and lactation consultant, but I'm not your consultant unless you have signed the legal paperwork and we have an established agreement. If you are struggling with your own health or your child's health, seek help from your doctor, pediatrician, midwife, or lactation consultant today. In the case of an emergency, stop listening and call 911. We respect the choices and paths of all individuals. We promote the fine art and lactation practice of Carrie York and Lactation Arts LLC, but are not affiliated with any other company and have no other conflicts of interest to declare. We are compliant with the WHO Code of Marketing Breast Milk Substitutes and do not take advertisements from companies who are code violators. You can learn more about the art that Carrie makes at carrieyork.com. Follow me on Instagram at Carrie York, CARYYORK _ or purchase art from my Etsy shop, Carrie York, CARYYORK .etsy.com. My private lactation practice is found at lactationarts.com. Thank you for listening and welcome to our community.